Namaste, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whichever part of the world you have joined. So I'm welcome you once again in this September edition of the Tatvabodha Body, Mind and Intellect. We had a long break in between for some reasons. So very sorry for that. I think for 2 months we could not hold this session. But now we are back here and we will continue our discussions, our journey, where we stopped in the month of June. And I'm very happy to see all of you. So thanks for your patience, support, and taking your time to join this session. Let us start the session with the prayer. Sahana bhavatu, Sahana bhunaktu, Sahaviryam karvavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Seated in the divine presence of the Masters, I once again welcome and we start the session today. So last time we had discussed about the dimensions of consciousness. We are into the chapter 6 of the BMI. Which is the self. We have been talking about the Brahma, the truth, the highest and the only existence which is there, right? Brahma, Satya, Jagat, Mithya. And we started discussing about the evolutionary nature of consciousness. I will touch upon briefly on some of the points which we discussed so that we can collect back what we were discussing, and then we can step into today's subject, which is stages of the personalities. And we'll talk about Naad Brahman and then Song of the Self. These are the 3 topics which are left in this chapter, and we'll see whatever we can cover today. Otherwise, the journey will continue in the coming sessions. So let us again start this, because as we say that we need Guru's blessings. So let us start with the Guru Vandana, Guru Prarthana. I will play some chants, the Guru Stotra I will play. And then with that we can enter into the subject today. So with that beautiful heart-touching stotra, we enter into the subject. This is something we discussed in the last edition. We were trying to understand more about the evolutionary cycle or the evolutionary nature of the consciousness. When I say evolutionary nature of consciousness, that doesn't mean that consciousness is changing. It is evolving from one stage. It is mainly the awareness which is evolving. Consciousness is a constant, as we all know. It cannot change. But awareness is changing. It is increasing. Okay. So when I say evolution of consciousness, you see that, interpret it as the awareness, the knowledge is changing from known to the unknown. The ignorance is slowly going away as the light of knowledge is increasing, the light of awareness is increasing, where we are getting to know, understand more about the truth about the consciousness. And we discussed the various levels of consciousness which are there when we see the world around us, how the minerals and stones, and then we compared this with the personality. These attributes can be applied to any personality depending upon the level of the awareness. So mineral stone, as they have the least level of consciousness, so corresponding personality, a stone personality, mineral personality is what we discussed, which is the lowest level of personalities and the behaviors they exist. And then similarly, vegetable and plants personalities, animal personalities, human personalities, like that it goes, and how from the causal point, how the whole process of creation takes place, and from the and how it evolves as the different stages of the life, what you see on the right hand side. We spoke about the 14 planes of consciousness. Based on this level of awareness, 14 planes are there. And that's how the personality is there, from stone personality, which is the -7th plane. If you consider average human as a 0th plane, there are 7 planes below. You call it 7 bhuvans, 7 lokas, which are below, and then 7 lokas which are above that particular line of reference, point of reference, what we are talking as an average human being. Okay, so that's how the consciousness level grows, and then after a certain level, there is no physical evolution. It is then the mental evolution is taking place from plane number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's where the mental evolution is taking place. Okay. And then it goes finally to the point where it had come. Okay. The point of birth, and then it further merges to that unknown, and the God realization happens. So this is the cycle. This journey, all of us are doing like this journey, and we are at different points of this, different stages of this journey. Okay. So then we discussed, mapped all of this on the life cycle of the mankind, how the mankind has grown over a period, both physically, psychologically, intellectually, and then spiritually, how those that history, we just try to map this, taking an analogy with the life cycle of a person. Like when a person goes from a birth, infancy, childhood, youth, and adulthood. Similarly, we took, like, the mankind we all call about the primordial man, the Adi Manav who was there, and how Adi Manav would have started this whole life. We treat Adi Manav as our primary ancestor. Okay, the first human beings from where these, this whole process, the mankind has evolved. And then we try to correlate this with the attributes or the behavior that an infant shows, and then mankind in its infancy was showing the similar behavior. Okay, trying to understand the world around that, trying to use the 5 senses to understand the world which was around. Okay, then the next level of development came when mankind entered its childhood. More the emotional understanding starts to develop here. Okay, more than physical, it is more about emotional understanding, need for emotional things. Humans are very emotional and sensitive in nature. They require love. They are a bundle of love, so they expect love. The positivity which is there in this, it is there. Okay, those kind of development took place. The materialistic needs also developed. You need a house, you need food and all, and then emotional needs are also there. So those things developed from the mankind perspective in this age. Then the youth stage is more about bubbling with energy. So when mankind reached its youth stage, higher level of maturity, more intelligence development, with energy, bustling of energy, trying to do new things, trying to find the, make new discoveries over there, what was stored in the nature and all, right? So, and then the early adulthood, where the prosperity, need for prosperity, more creativity, intelligence, it reaches into the next level of maturity, where more inventions were made, need for society was felt, the family system, the social systems got developed in this stage, in the early adulthood, as the man tries to enter into the family, creates his own family, right? Man and woman, they marry. So this was a time of mankind where the family systems were developed, social systems were developed. Agricultural sciences became more meaningful, more productive, more scientific in nature in that case. And of course, then comes the middle adulthood, where the ignorance and uh, mm, the other things, the greed and other stuff also develop unknowingly or unknowingly. Ignorance leads to the development of these evils which are there inside, right? The negative aspects of the personality, which leads to going more and more beyond that. And due to ignorance, person thinks that, this is what is reality, and starts enjoying all those, the fruits which are coming through in this time, right? And that ego and other stuff then leads to the mental devolution. Similarly, mankind has also devolved after a period. Like we had a Vedic age, which is considered as the golden age of mankind, for example, you say. And then after that, again, the industrialization took over. As a result of industrialization, we have seen how the material prosperity increased, but at the same time, the wars also increased, the greed increased, the crime also started to rise, and that's how the society went into a totally different direction, goes through a different direction. But in that stage comes the re-evolution part, right? Those very rare ones who understand the whole cause of the conflicts, which is where is the cause of conflict. They undergo this process. They take a different route to understand. That's where several enlightened sages, they appeared in those ages, who could not see the suffering of the people, and in order to find out the root cause, they did their studies, and then that's how the mental revolution takes place. They found the cause, they understood the solution is also within, and then the mental revolution, re-evolution takes place, where a different world. In this stage, a person enters into the different world. One person is now have understood the futility of the material world. Whatever is happening in the world, where whatever chase and the race is going on was all futile. Starts to contemplate. The thinker becomes a contemplator, and the contemplation on the truth of the life, that takes place at this level. So this is the late adulthood. We can correlate this, where we say person has become more wise from the experiences of the life, wiser with that. So again, putting into perspective this, when we took from a different dimension, like what are these planes and what are these personalities and behaviors, we discussed that personalities as the -7 plane, that is stone personality, plant personality, then the water bodies, insect personalities, insect type, what insect characteristics, and the human characteristics. Humans show those kind of characteristics, like these species. And then eventually, first, second, third plane, fourth plane, the evolution part of the mental aspects and their personalities we saw. Okay, now we will get into the stages of personality, which is the topic which we will shift today. This was till the last edition. And when you see that, if we take the top 7 plane, the 7 lokas, where the mental evolution is taking place, as per the experiences of Siddhas, they have divided this whole progress across the plane into 25 stages of personalities. As the awareness is increasing, as the mental evolution is taking place across these plane 0 to 7, it is divided into 25 stages, what you see on the right hand side. Sadhak, which is the very first stage. Sadhak is a person who has defined the goal, who has understood that, what is the goal of my life, where I should go. Okay, that particular thought comes in everybody's life. Right? At some phase of life, each one of us think, right? We get this feeling. And that's where we start to change the course of life. Okay. So that's where the sadhak inside us is born. And then from sadhak, as the process continues, as we continue to get the guidance, as we continue to read the scriptures and all, we continue this journey. This evolution takes place. The sadhak becomes a sadhu. Sadhu becomes a saint. Saint becomes a Mahatma. Mahatma, then Satpurush, Pancham Yogi, Mahayogi. These are all states and stages. These are not persons. These are the upadhis a person get as per the Siddha Parampara, Siddha tradition. Mahayogi, Samatvam Yogi, Chit, Sat, Satchitanand, Ishwar, Videhi, Avadhut, Param Videhi, Avatar, Sadguru, Paramhans, Brahmi Bhut, Paravastha, Brahm, Parabrahm, Alakh Niranjan, Paramatma, Paratpar Paramatma. That's how the highest stages, the 25 stages goes. And the 100% development of personality is, you see, is the 25th one, Paratpar Paramatma, that level. So every stage has some characteristics of a person, a behavior of a person at each of those stages. And there are very, very minute thread level of differences which between these stages, which keeps on happening. Okay. So these are the 25 stages. We will not go into too much of detail because these are very much different experiences, and otherwise we will get lost and we will try to copy these experiences. So I don't want to go much more in detail, but just for a concept, I'm telling these are the stages which happens in the stage of in our journey of evolution. So there is a connection between sound and our personality. We are talking about the personality development, personality refinement, various stages of personality. Sound plays an important role in this because everything is sound. If you see at the bottom line, what it is telling is Brahm is your identity and Maya is your personality. Maya, all the changes are happening in Maya, and Maya is Mithya. So your personality is Mithya. What is your personality? Your body, your mind, your intellect, everything which is changing around you is all the Maya, and that is your personality. Your behavior is changing, your thinking process changes, your emotional feelings keep on changing in a particular day due to different incidents that are happening around you. So personality is also a Maya. It is also changing. As we saw that, 25 stages, what is happening? Personality, it is changing. So it is all happening in the mental aspect of the thing, where mind completely develops, okay, and merges, becomes one with the intellect, submerges itself, okay. Then comes the identity. which is the only existence we have been talking about, which is Brahm, which is the consciousness. That's the only existence which is there. Rest all is mithya. So sound is means here vibration. Everything is created out of sound. Everything is maintained with the sound, and everything transforms with the help of sound. So there is a sound everywhere, which is what is called as Naad. And we very well know this, that what Bible also says, was the science also says, that in the beginning of there was the Word, and the Word was with the God, and the Word was the God, and he was with the God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. So this is what Bible is telling. The scientists have given their own perspective into that, which is not different than that, right? The Big Bang theory, what we go. If we read the Hindu scriptures also, any scriptures you read, they all speak about more or less the similar thing, that sound is the first energy. It is the basic energy due to which this whole creation is taking place. We all know the power of the sound. Okay, sound also has gross level, subtle level, and the ultra subtle level. Vibrations are at different level, and we will talk a little bit more about those. But this is just the couple of slides to understand what is the power of the sound. Okay, what sound can do. Sound can do everything because it is the mother energy. It is creating everything. It has the power of creation. Okay, it has the power of creation. That means Brahma is sound. What we say, right? Brahma has created as per the Hindu scriptures. So Brahma means sound. Sound has the creation power. Sound can also terminate the thing. So Mahesha is also sound, and Vishnu is also sound that way. Okay. So the bridge, when the vibrations, we know that why the soldiers are not allowed to do parade on top of bridge, because this whole science which takes place, the science of vibrations, it can collapse the bridge. It has such a power. Sound has such a power. Okay. During the World War I, German scientists developed a weapon where they they created some frequencies which to help destroy the targets because of the sound. Okay. So sound can be used in creative way and also in the destructive way. It is energy. Energy does not have any intellect. Energy cannot decide right and wrong. Whichever direction it is used, the effect of energy can be seen. We discussed when we were discussing Maya also. This is all Maya. This is the power of Maya. Now, sound can also be used in a creative way, where we have read in the scriptures where the rains can be brought while reciting some ragas. The lamps can be lighted through some ragas, the Deepak Rag Deepak, Rag Malhar. These are the ragas which have come in our classical music, and the stories which we read in our mythological context. We read about how Ravana shifted the pillars and uh, the land to the Kailas to construct a palace for his Lord Shiva, using the sound, using this power of the sound. Okay, so these are different applications, and we see in our daily life the applications. Our entire body is like a sound system. There is an orchestra which continues in our body. Something which we can hear, the frequencies which we can hear. Then there are subtle frequencies which we cannot hear with in a very common state. Okay, but through sadhanas you can hear the subtle vibrations also, which is called as antarnaad. And okay, so you are the center of the naad actually. So your spinal column is like the veena shown here, which is the main controlling where the things, this entire body is orchestrating around you. And the concept of Bij mantras and all, it comes in this concept. And we are not going into much details at this stage, just projecting our body as a musical instrument completely. Okay. So Naad Brahman, it is called as. So when we are talking about sound, there are two types of sound, two categories of sound which are there. One is the articulate sound which we can give some meaning to that sound, like in the form of words, sentences, speech, language. Okay, so articulate sound has the grammar behind it, and it is used for the communication purposes. Articulate sound is the gross sound. Okay, Vaikhari Vani. There are 4 types of speeches which have been given: Vaikhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, and Para. So articulate sound, we are dealing in the realm of the Vaikhari Vani, the gross state of the speech which is there. Okay. And then before the sound becomes gross, it is in the subtle form, it is in the fluid form. Okay. That's where it is called as Nada. Nada is the subtle part of the sound, where the music, emotions, feelings, because that is common to everybody. Okay. If you don't know the language, let's say Spanish, Russian, and Indian, okay, these 3 are there. If you don't know the language, but the language, Naad, the music, language of music, everybody understands. So Vaikhari Vani will require the grammar and all. So you can't understand if you don't know the language. But the language of the heart, everybody understands. So articulate sound is the production of the brain. Inarticulate sound we are going now, which are there, they are the production of the heart. Okay, that's what we say, that language of the heart can understand everything. So Naad is there. Amrit Bindu Upanishad, there are several Upanishads which have been written and focusing on the system of Naad. And Amrit Bindu is one of those. It explains the Brahma in the verse 7. Okay, when it says that with sound, one should practice the meditation. With sound, one should practice the meditation. Then, without sound, one should meditate on the Brahm or the transcendent. By meditating without sound, the existent cannot remain absent. Okay, so what Amrit Bindu Upanishad in this verse is trying to say is, in the early stages, like when we are in the stage of sadhak, sadhu, or any early stages, the meditation is practiced with the sound. Sound is helping you to meditate. You are practicing, you know the reality is the terrestrial world around you, which is created by the sound. You are meditating on that. Okay. The terrestrial part of the world. And then reaches a stage where the sound disappears, sound finishes, and the reality comes, the Brahma reality happens, and one should meditate on the Brahma without the sound. So by meditating without sound, the existent cannot remain absent. That means existence is only Brahma over there. It cannot remain absent when you are meditating without the sound. That means something is beyond the sound which is there, which is existing. It is again pointing to the existence of Brahma without sound. Okay, beyond Maya, beyond energy. Okay, it is talking beyond the vibrations. Some substratum is there, which is the only existent. It cannot be absent. Okay, so it is again endorsing the fact that sound is not Brahm, but there is a source of sound in the end. Okay, so what happens? The sound which we are seeing, like, whatever vibrations at the gross level, they have been created out of sound. Sound creates sound. there must be a causal sound, it says, from where everything is produced. And that is what is called as, it is calling it as a primordial sound. The last sound or the first sound which is there, which we call it as Om. That is the inarticulate sound which has always been there. And that is the purest sound of the Brahm, Om. Om is infinite. It is the sound of Brahm. Something has to be a cause for the first sound also. Okay. Logically, if we think, what is the first sound? Om. But there has to be something which is creating this sound also. Who is the creator of this sound? How this sound is there? So that particular element is Brahm. That is why it says, by meditating without sound, the existence cannot remain absent. So Brahm is the sound, Om is the sound of Brahm. And Om is the first sound on which other sounds have been created. The whole creation has taken place. Okay. Like in the music, what happens? Sargama, there are 7 sounds are the basic. And then on top of that, we get the different flavors of the music. Same is here. Om is that basic sound. Different flavors of creation is what we see around us. And then when we understand this verse 7, we also understand the chapter 4th, 24th verse of Bhagavad Gita, which says that Brahmarpanam Brahmhavir Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam Brahmaivaten Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. It is also saying one who is rooted in the God consciousness, one who is rooted in the highest level of consciousness, for such person, everything is Brahm. Okay, everything is Brahm. This whole universe is Brahm. Nothing is different. Then that gives the infiniteness of the Brahm. That says that only Brahm is Satya. Whatever is existing is Brahm. This particular thing also gets verified. These two, when we understand 7, we understand the fundamental or the what 4.24 of Bhagavad Gita is also telling to us. Okay, it is telling that the person who is offering into the Homa, Havan is also Brahm. This offering is also Brahm. That fire is also a Brahm. Okay, that altar in which the fire is there, that is also Brahm. So everything is a Brahm. Okay. So this level is verified only by going at that stage beyond the sound. You verify that. It is validated. So that is why it is called as Naad Brahman. And then we were also speaking about the 4 speeches. So Om is the primordial sound. And this is again has a very deep kind of understanding for Om. Mandukya Upanishad has given a lot of insights into the whole concept of Om, where Om is an inarticulate sound. And when we are doing it, we are providing grammar to it. That's why it also becomes an articulate sound when you put a grammar into it. U, ma, and we join it and we say oh. Okay, so that's where it becomes inarticulate. But at the base, it is inarticulate sound. So these are that is the Om. If we see, we can understand Om from two concepts here. One is from the gross level. Sound is produced from the throat, from here, okay, which is the throat chakra. And then this is the first sound. There is no sound as such beyond this. When we talk about Vaikhari Vani, we start the sound from here. That is the first sound. And as the sound is traveling through the mouth, it is traveling through the tunnel of the mouth. Ooh, it turns into you. Ooh. And then it ends here on the lips with the ma. When you join 2 lips, that sound becomes the sound of ma. So there is no sound after these two lips. So the entire language is between these 3 points. So Om encompasses or encapsulates the entire language which is there. All the articulate sounds which are created by the grammar, by the brain, can be understood from this aspect. Now, Om has an inarticulate aspect also, subtle vibrations when we go into Madhyama, Pashyanti, and Paravani stages. Okay. So, Madhyama Vani is, Madhyama means in the middle. When something between your thought and your action, when the sound is between that, it is called as Madhyama. Okay. It is not expressed as the action, but it has manifested as a thought. So in between that sound, that speech is called as the Madhyama speech. Below Madhyama, or the higher level of Madhyama, more refined level of Madhyama is Pashyanti. Pashyanti means something that can be seen. Mind, if you see how the mind works as a, it visualizes everything. Everything what we see, capture, okay, we read, we see the pictures and with the words, everything is stored as images in the human, in our memory. They are not stored as words, they are stored as images. So images means mind visualizes, Pashyanti. So at this level, the speech is the Pashyanti. The visual things are there. All right. They have not got into the articulate, or they have not acquired the grammar or the language at that stage. Astral bodies, people go and, you must have heard that Diksha happens in the very astral plane. Okay, Guru is giving Diksha in the light form. Everything is happening in the Pashyanti stage or the Pashyanti speech at that point. And then transcendental speech comes, which is the Paravadi. So this is all the correlation we can see between the Shabda, Nada, different levels of speech, how the Om forms the basis of it, primordial sound, what is Naad, all these things, we can, think more, we can know more about how this whole thing works and how this is related to the different stages of the consciousness. The waking state, the letter A denotes the waking state of consciousness. U denotes the dream state of the consciousness, and ma of the Om denotes the Sushupti, the deep sleep state of the consciousness. Mandukya Upanishad discusses everything in detail. Now, this is very interesting. Again, going back to the experiences of gurus in the Siddha tradition, when this whole personality refinement is taking place, when the sadhak develops the ability to listen to the naad, antarnaad, the sound which is happening inside, the various stages can be correlated to the different kinds of sound which the sadhak will get from inside, from within. So so there are dasha naad. The reference comes in the Hamsa Upanishad. This reference comes, which says that in the stage 1, there will be a sound of like an insect, a cricket, how the cricket makes a sound, or a beetle makes a sound. There is a continuous sound which will the sadhak can hear coming from within, not from the outside. 24 hours that sound will be there. Even if the sadhak is not in a jungle, even if you are in a mall, sadhak is in a mall, this sound, if you take your awareness here, you can listen, that sound is continuously coming. That is the first stage defined in the stage of Dashanadas. I will play how the cricket sounds, but this sound may vary here and there, but this is the sound of cricket I could download. This is the sound, if you can hear, I have shared the, sound is shared. So this is the sound of cricket, beetle. Something similar can be heard. So physically, symptoms of this are like, sadhak will feel some tickling, frequent tickling in the body, weakness in the body, heaviness in the body are the symptoms. Okay, which talks about the stage 1. Then in the next stage, the sound changes. The sound which is coming, it becomes non-continuous. In the first stage, the sound is continuous, well, that kind of sound is coming. Second stage, the similar kind of sound, but it will be non-continuous, like a woodpecker does, right? It does ta 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 and then stops. Then again ta 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 ta. I'll play how the non-continuous part of this sound. So it breaks and then comes. It breaks and then comes. It is not a continuously it is coming. Sadhak feels fatigue in the body. Okay, in this stage. Third is like a musical anklet, ghungru. Okay, the ghungru sound, this is the sound of a ghungru which comes. Okay, so a couple of sound I could find on the internet, but something similar, the musical anklet, which a dancer wears, right? So that kind of sound. Sadhak undergoes a feeling of repentance in this stage. Whatever karmas are done, lot of repentance, paschatap that takes place in the mind. Okay. So feeling of repentance becomes very strong in this stage. In the fourth stage, sound of a conch is there. Vibrations are heavy, strong vibrations are felt in the head and neck region. In this top region, strong vibrations are felt. And the sound of shankh, conch, can be heard. Veena. In the stage 5, it is Veena. And then sadhak at that stage experiences some sweet fluid on the palate, upper palate, this palate, some sweetness fluid is felt over there. This is a cerebrospinal fluid, which comes due to some activation of glands in that stage. And the sound of veena, it changes. Then the sound of tabla in the next stage, sound of tabla. This sweet fluid gets intense and the nectar, the feeling of something is coming from like in Khechari Mudra. Many of you may not know Khechari Mudra, but if you have done that practical, if you can read about Khechari Mudra, it says that, it is a way of doing the Amrit Pan, the nectar, which is coming, the cerebrospinal fluid, which is there, that is called as nectar. Yogi call it as a Amrit Pan. So that is the 6th stage. 7th stage is the sound of a flute. Flute comes, feeling of bliss. Sadhak goes through feeling of bliss. Stage 8 is like a sound of a percussion instrument, a mridangam kind of instrument. This is where the more refinement and rise of the 4 dimensions of speech, what we discussed, Vaikri, Madhyama, Pashyanti, and Paravani. The more understanding and of that speech, sadhak experiences. 9th stage is like a bugul or a kettle drum sound, where the sadhak gains a divine sight and vision. So third eye, they say, right? Third eye has opened. So you can correlate it here. Divine sight and vision can make the self body invisible to others. So sadhak attains a siddhi where we can become in the astral form, gross to astral, astral to gross. Sadhak can go in that stage. Okay. That means the sadhak is able to absorb all the 7 colors of the rays and not reflect anything. If you don't reflect anything, you can't be seen by anybody, right? So that is the law of the physics, right? Something which appears in that color, like this handkerchief is appearing white in color, means it is absorbing and reflecting all the light. When all the lights are reflected, white color is seen. When nothing is reflected, at that point you can't see all that. So cloud thunder is the 10th stage, where the sadhak goes beyond the sins and saintly actions. That means now free from the karmas. This is the stage where the bondage from the karmas liberated. Person is liberated from that, free of the conflicts, no doubts are there. Mind becomes totally stable, that stage. The last stage, and Hamsa Upanishad says this, Chiniti Prathama means that insect. Chiniti, insect Prathama. Chin Chiniti Dvitiya. Okay, that non-continuous sound which is there. Ghanta Naad, that is musical, and then Shankha, that is conch, which is talked about. So same thing. The last is the Dashmo, is the Meghnad, that is the cloud thunder, which is the 10th kind of Naad. So these are how the Nadas give you the progress of your journey, the evolution of your awareness. The Antarnada changes accordingly. So I think this brings us to the time where we can't take up the next topic. Otherwise, we will not be able to finish that Song of the Self, which is the last topic. That we can take up in the next session, and we can then close this chapter and then get into the last chapter of BMI, which is Guru Kriya. More of a practical way of experiencing our true nature. Whatever we have discussed as body, mind, intellect, whatever theory we have discussed, how practically it can be experienced is where the Guru Kriya comes into the picture. So with that, I thank all of you once again for your presence today. Next Sunday, we will meet on discussing on these subjects. Very interesting subject, interesting topics. And then we'll see that how much we can understand in that discussion. Thank you for your time. Let us do the Shanti part. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you, Anurag.
Thank you. Thank you for wonderful session.
Thank you.